true, that truly sets us free. With the light that leads the blind to see. Voice of the word, voice for the good, voice of the whole, voice of me, voice of the word, TV.
VWTV, ang telebisyon nga may misyon.
Voice of the Word, TV.
Maupay nga oras sa iyong tanan, mga brother knights, labi na kukulaw, nagkikita, tagsa-tagsa nga ira kanimalay. Welcome to our show, Knights of Columbus Hour. Welcome Western Visayas, Central Visayas, and Eastern Visayas of the Knights of Columbus Visayas jurisdiction. We're here, we're back again to show you highlights of activities and programs that has happened these past weeks. And then we just want to mention it, mga aton mga district deputies are quite busy nowadays, Brad, installing mga councils. And welcome to our show, Knights of Columbus Hour. This is your brother, Alvin Gonzalez, your State Communication Director. And with me is Brother Vic Lacdao, our State Membership Chairman. Brother Vic, could you please say your opening statements?
Thank you, Brother Alvin. Maupay nga oras sa aton mga DMPC, mga EDMPC, mga district deputies sa iba-ibang lugar, Visayas. So naman aton mga state officers nga nakikitahin nga aton SIO, Knights of Columbus Hour, ngan mga Grand Knight, ngan mga council officers nga at least yan na naka-tune in nga aton programa. Maupay nga oras sa iyo nga tanan.
Thank you, Brad Vic. Well, this has been a colorful week for us, Brad, especially councils has been busy with their installation.
Yeah.
Kay prior to their official business, it has always been our nababatasan man nato, ang mandate that council officers first must be installed before prior to be officially updating, performing their duties officially with aton mandato. So since medyo late na nga yung iba late na nga yung ibang so we're trying our best to update everybody. So Brother Knights, I had also attended installation in my council, Our Lady of Miraculous Medal Council, Kapulok. It happened yesterday, and I'm happy that maganda yung turnout ng mga nag-attend kapon. Although hindi kasama na naman ng mga wives. Why, I don't know. May announcement ka, Brad?
Okay, Brad. Karang pasabot tayo yung mga Brother Knights, kakulog na kamay na kita in activities dito kabuong aton mga previous beneficiary ng mga fishermen nakadto represente ginkuhaan naton nirahin buti ay nga video para may pakita naton anaton mga fishermen nga talaga ginagamit nila mga salakyan nga pagpakabuhi labi na pagisda nga naton liwat nakita nga iragin tipigan ini nga mga salakyan na ginhatag era kay sakopan nakalabay nga more or less mga 5 years na tekanan panhatagan ini nakikita pa naton nga very operative pa ng salakyan nga kinikita pa nga nagagamit ka nakakabulig ng pamilya kakulop ang gibuhat ini didaha mga Bitsang Kabung together with our World State Deputy Brad Chofredo Lagria, of course myself nga naton mga beneficiary nga nakadto nga lili mga matras pambot nga tikanhan Dibinubu Island dito nga mga beneficiary so nga very happy hira nga aton ging kumbida ging paten naton hira siguro may katuyuanan kay pa ini nga documentary film may mapapadara ini nga dito sa Supreme Office. Nga Brad Alvin, iudugan ko pa nga yan na lang adlaw September 20 nagkamay na kitahin assembly meeting naging buhat dito may pangdan nakadto nga tanan mga estate ang mga assembly officers of course ang magkaiba nga aton mga membrohan assembleya tikan sa San Julian dinliwat haburungan nakatungan among talakay labi na ang ginistoryahan ni unongan fraternal mortuary benefit fund ngan so far klarado para ira anongan maruregira nga lilipay nga naging klaro ang nga tanan nga labi na benepisyo para membro sugad man nga daan asawa.
Maganda yan, Brad. It's about the insurance.
Yeah.
Birit na miyembro, including the families
Yo,
of our brother knights. Well, Brad, I think that Monsignor Pepe was around just...
Kahapon, actually, we are waiting for Monsignor Pepe. Pero siguro may mga rason, wala makaabot. Pero he was expecting na makakita, pero wala makaabot. Pero anyway, nagpadayon gihapon ang film showing nito.
Okay. So, karong signon that for purpose na kinunan ng video film.
Oo. Isa yung mga
beneficiaries.
Yung mga fishermen.
So, I hope that when the video film is available, ipapakita na lang natin dito. Ano, Brad?
Okay.
Okay. So, speaking of video films and a video clip, we have a video clip available to show you, Brother Knights. This is about our benevolent Father Michael J. McGivney, his life, his mission, and they have been talking about his beatification, which will be on October 31st this year. Now, this video clip is so important in order for you to know kung kay ano nga naging blessed here.
Okay.
He is due to be beatified, to be a blessed, and it's helpful for us because there was a miracle that happened na we always, whenever we pray, we ask for His intercession. Ano ito't nahinabo, and through His intercession, merong miracle na nag-happen, and it was approved by our Pope Francis that he be elevated to blessedhood. So please, Brother Knights, let's watch this video clip from our Supreme Council, from our Supreme Knight, Carl A. Anderson.
Father McGivney was a parish priest who died during the Asian flu pandemic before reaching the age of 40. He began his signature accomplishment of founding the Knights of Columbus when he was still in his 20s. In many ways, he was a priest ahead of his time. His vision for the relationship between laity and clergy anticipated the Second Vatican Council by nearly a century, and his desire to keep men Catholic guided his founding of the Knights of Columbus, and his conviction that Catholics in America could be both faithful to their church and good citizens helped Catholics claim their place in American society. Over the years, Father McGivney has been honored with many titles: the Model Parish Priest, a Good Samaritan, Protector of Widows and Orphans, Apostle of Christian Family Life, and of course, founder of the Knights of Columbus. However, his witness goes beyond titles. He was above all a testament to the power of spiritual brotherhood and charity.
Father McGivney's father and his mother were both immigrants from Ireland. They're both potato famine migrants. But most Irish ended up in cities working in some form of factory work. Father McGivney's father ended up in Waterbury, Connecticut, and he was a molder in a brass factory. Catholics in general, Irish Catholics in particular, they were at the very bottom of the social ladder. They were the ones from the poorest country coming without much of education, without a lot of skills, and because of that, they were discriminated against in many facets of life.
At the time of Father McGivney, there was, in many ways, great opposition to the Catholic faith. There was a thinking that there's greater allegiance to the Pope than there is to the President. They're taking over. They're immigrants. They're the poor. We don't want them in our backyard.
Even though Father McGivney's family was very poor and their lot was hard, their faith was very strong. And I think that's not only where Father McGivney felt the first stirrings of a vocation, it's also the beginnings of a lifelong devotion to building up the family.
At the age of 13, Michael completes his studies and expresses interest in the priesthood, but his father is hesitant. Michael instead takes a job at a local factory making spoons. Finally, after a 3-year wait, he gains permission and leaves home to study for the priesthood at St. Hyacinthe Seminary in Quebec. However, a tragic death derails his plans.
When Father McGivney's dad died, all of a sudden, Michael McGivney had to move back from seminary and help support the rest of the family. And I think this was very formative for him.
After helping his family adjust to life without the breadwinner, the Bishop of Hartford intervenes and arranges for Michael to complete his path to the priesthood. He is to finish his studies in Baltimore and become a parish priest.
So Father McGivney was sent to Baltimore. He studied at St. Mary's Seminary. Father McGivney made a wonderful impression on his classmates and on the faculty. He was a diligent student. He had great strength of character. He liked to play baseball. He had a great capacity for friendship, which would serve him very well as a priest.
On December 22, 1877, Michael McGivney is ordained in Baltimore by Archbishop James Gibbons and is appointed curate of St. Mary's Church in New Haven, Connecticut. For Michael, it is a Connecticut homecoming and also a mighty challenge.
Well, St. Mary's Church had only been recently built, and it had a massive debt. He was coming into a situation most priests would not want to enter into. And there was also a great resistance to Catholicism at that time.
Famously, there's an article in the New York Times from soon after St. Mary's was opened, talking about the monstrosity on Hill House Avenue, that in the midst of all of these beautiful mansions where all of the waspy residents of New Haven lived, Irish immigrants were now flocking to their neighborhood, and so the residents here were not happy.
Father McGivney sets about making St. Mary's Church a center of Catholic life. He gathers the men in the parish for baseball games. He organizes outings for youth, and he makes the church the center of community life for families. Father McGivney's ministry focuses on the centrality of faith for his parishioners by living out the 2 great commandments, love of God and love of neighbor. Now, these were not abstract commands for Father McGivney. They had to be put into practice. They had to change people's lives. Christianity's practical relevance was his priority. Everything Father McGivney did was aimed at strengthening the Catholic faith of his parishioners.
McGivney reaches out to everyone, including the most despised. In one notable case, a 21-year-old named Chip Smith shoots and kills a police officer while drunk. He is tried for first-degree murder in 1881, convicted and sentenced to be hanged.
Father McGivney was not a priest who simply stayed in the rectory. He was the great evangelizer. And so he reached out into this prison and became friends with Chip Smith.
Father McGivney would go to the prison, and not just for a quick 5-minute visit, but long, extended visits where he would speak to the man about faith, about God, about forgiveness, about responsibility, and so forth.
It is said of Chip Smith that prior to his execution, that he was beloved even by the guards. His personality was so transformed. His life was so transformed. The man who's responsible for that is Father McGivney.
Father McGivney understands uniquely the plight of Catholic immigrants. Modern social safety nets do not yet exist. When a breadwinner dies, the consequences are catastrophic: bankruptcy, poverty, and families torn apart.
The Downs family were a typical Irish immigrant family of the 19th century, very enterprising. They became the wealthiest and the most socially prominent Catholic, probably, in New Haven. And then, as so often happens, Edward Sr. dies, and the bottom drops out.
If a woman was widowed, had children, if she could not prove that she had sufficient financial resources to care for her minor children, the state would take the children from her and place them in various institutional homes. And then even more on top of that, the children's Catholic faith would get no support whatsoever. So it was tragic on both a personal and on a faith level.
It begins to look as though the Downs family is going to be broken up by the probate court in New Haven. And in this hour of need, who steps forward but their parish priest? Father McGivney appears to accept guardianship of the child. His intervention enabled young Alfred Downs to remain with his family and one day to go on to graduate from Yale Law School. This is a pivotal moment in the life of Father McGivney. He had lost his own father and had seen the financial and emotional cost to his own family. Now he is able to make a tremendous difference in the life of another family. He understood firsthand the need for the insurance program of the Knights of Columbus.
In the fall of 1881, Father McGivney gathers 24 men for a meeting in the basement of St. Mary's. He shares with them his vision of a Catholic fraternal group bound by the spiritual principles of charity and unity, and named for Columbus, the most celebrated Catholic figure at the time, and one whose name would help make the case that Catholics could be good American citizens as well. The Knights of Columbus is born.
Christopher Columbus, at the time, was revered as the founder of America. Not only that, America was a Protestant nation. Columbus was a Catholic. So here you had this way of affirming their American identity. And that was an essential part of the Knights of Columbus from the very beginning.
Charity, unity, and fraternity were not abstractions. These were principles that flowed from Father McGivney's life. They echoed the gospel and summed it up, and he was able to not only communicate them to those early Knights of Columbus, but to inculcate them in their lives and in their spirituality.
Father McGivney had several goals in the foundation of the Knights. First and foremost was the protection of the spiritual welfare of his parishioners. The Catholic men of New Haven were being lured from the faith with the promises of social advancement and other benefits by anti-Catholic societies. What Father McGivney saw was that a Catholic group was needed to create a network of faithful men capable of strengthening rather than diminishing the faith of those who joined.
Father McGivney saw the Knights as responding to threats to the faith of Catholics, as well as the means to protect their families spiritually and materially. Keeping the Catholic family together not only meant helping these families advance socially, it often meant keeping the Catholic family Catholic. Again, it was a very practical way of transmitting the faith and therefore of evangelizing the next generation of Catholics. Father McGivney saw the Knights of Columbus as a community of brothers who were concerned for one another and who would be there to offer each other a helping hand. We're all familiar with the great religious orders, the Benedictines, Franciscans, Dominicans, and the Jesuits. These men have entered a brotherhood. But what of the men who marry and must provide for their families? Men called to be active in their parish. What is the idea of a Christian brotherhood for them? Today, because of Father McGivney's vision, the Knights of Columbus offers men the opportunity to join a Catholic brotherhood based upon the principles of charity, unity, and fraternity.
Father McGivney insists on lay leadership of the Knights, but is fully dedicated to the order's growth and development. His priestly witness also inspires his brothers Patrick and John to follow his footsteps into the priesthood. In 1890, now serving as a priest in Thomaston, Connecticut, Father McGivney becomes ill during the pandemic of 1889 and 1890. The virus causes a serious case of pneumonia. Father Michael McGivney then dies on August 14, 1890, 2 days past his 38th birthday.
So back in Father McGivney's day, it was very common for priests to die extremely young. It was a product of the priests being in the midst of these immigrant communities where, again, the living conditions were difficult, where disease was common, and the priests were incredibly overworked.
St. John Chrysostom said that a martyr dies once, but the pastor dies daily for his people. And this is especially true of Father McGivney.
Father McGivney is, in so many ways, the perfect model of what a parish priest and who a parish priest should be. He was a man of deep prayer, but he was not a man who, you might say, hid behind the altar. He was constantly out among the people, and he loved to be with them.
Of all of Pope Francis's beautiful expressions, the one that I love the most is to take on the smell of the sheep. To get out there and walk hand in hand with your people through thick and thin, through the good times, the bad times, the sorrows, the joys, the laughter and the tears. Father McGivney did that back then.
Father McGivney understood the importance of the laity's vocation to transform society according to the gospel. The men who joined him in the Knights of Columbus took up this challenge to go into society and to make a difference by the very practical witness of charity, unity, and fraternity. St. John Paul II has said that the priest must be a bridge to Christ for his people. Father McGivney was just this sort of bridge. His pastoral concern attracted many to the Catholic Church, and he helped strengthen the faith of his parishioners against the challenges of his day. Pope Benedict XVI wrote that we need to cultivate a heart that sees where love is needed. Such a charitable heart was at the center of Father McGivney's life as a parish priest and as founder of the Knights of Columbus.
We need but think of the remarkable accomplishment that exemplary American priest, the Venerable Michael McGivney, whose vision and zeal led to the establishment of the Knights of Columbus. Was not this unity of vision and purpose, rooted in faith in the spirit of constant conversion and self-sacrifice, the secret of the impressive growth of the Church in this country?
We might ask, what is the secret of the impressive growth of the Knights of Columbus? And I think the secret is a simple one. The Knights of Columbus is an organization that transforms friends into brothers. Brothers who are concerned and who care for one another. This was the spiritual genius of Father McGivney, not just to preach about the need for charity and unity, but to help us see our neighbor in need as a true brother or sister, so that our charity becomes a fraternal charity, and our unity becomes a fraternal unity.
Oggi i Cavalieri di Colombo proseguono la loro opera di carità evangelica e fraternità in vari settori. In questo modo il vostro ordine si dimostrò fedele all'ideale del fondatore, il venerabile Michael McGivney, il quale fu ispirato dai principi della carità cristiana e della fraternità ad assistere i più bisognosi.
When Pope Francis speaks of the importance of fraternity, or he tells priests to bring the gospel to the margins of society, I think of Father McGivney, his support for widows and orphans, and his concern for the poor and the suffering. Father McGivney's example calls us to see our unity as Catholics, to undertake the conversion needed to treat each other as brothers and sisters, and to make the self-sacrifice necessary to live a life of charity. We sometimes think of the heroic virtue of our saints as the achievement of a sort of spiritual superhero, but that's really not the case. Saintly heroic virtue is really very different. It is an emptying of oneself so that the Lord can be seen working in and through the saint. What Father McGivney did in quietly living a life of charity and unity and calling all of us to look at each other as brothers and sisters has had an indelible effect on Catholicism in America and around the world.
Okay. Thank you so much, Brother Knights, for watching with us. That was so important and so enlightening video clip about Father Michael J. McGivney, who is to be beatified this coming October 31, 2020 by our Pope Francis. It's very deserving, Brad, kasi tumatayo yung balahibo ko kanina kasi yung sinabi ni Supreme Knight Carl Anderson na spiritually intellectual. Ang tindi no, malalim yun, no? Because itong si Father McGivney talaga, advanced mag-isip niyan. The reason why Father McGivney was the one who founded pala mga Brother Knights, founded the Knights of Columbus in the United States. During that time, United States was predominantly Protestant. So, nung panahon na yun, pag Katoliko ka, medyo magtago ka na dahil medyo hindi nila gusto na ng mga Katoliko nung araw. So, underground pa lang sila nung araw nung fino-form ni Father McGivney sa Connecticut. And then, as years pass, siyempre dumadami na rin ng members until sa nakarating na ng Pilipinas. Anything more you could say, Brad?
Well, brother, tuloy na natin, brother.
Okay, sige. So, since Father Michael, the benevolent Father Michael J. McGivney is the founder of the Knights of Columbus in the United States, let's come to our country in the Philippines. Meron din po tayong Father McGivney of the Philippines under the person of Father George J. Willman. Siya po ang founder ng Knights of Columbus in the Philippines. Now, since he is the founder in the Philippines, meron din na ho siyang path to sainthood. So, the Archdiocese of Manila is set to formally open the diocesan process of the calls for Father George J. Willman, S.J., founder of the Knights of Columbus in the Philippines on December 7. According to the Sanctorum Mater, or the instruction of the conducting diocesan or impartial inquiries in the causes of saint, the diocesan process in the first step before a deceased Catholic who is proven to have lived a life of holiness, heroic virtue, and can be considered for beatification and eventual canonization. The process allows the bishop in whose diocese the candidate for sainthood lived and died. So in this case, Manila Archbishop Luis Antonio Cardinal Tagle and the Archdiocese of Manila to evaluate the documentation collected and presented by his or her postulator, Brad Vic,
and ensure that the reputation of holiness, of martyrdom, and intercessory power exists to a post of the Catholic Bishop Conference of the Philippines News, former Supreme Court Chief Justice Hilario G. Davide Jr., who chaired the National Executive Committee on the cause of Father Willman, noted in a letter that the historic and momentous occasion will mark the important milestone for the cause to raise the naturalized Filipino Jesuit to the honor of the altar.
So, he was dubbed, brother, no? He was dubbed as the Father McGivney of the Philippines for his dedication in expanding the Knights of Columbus locally, now which is started in Manila. So, Father Willman worked for the radical transformation of faith into action. So, he was born in June 29, 1897 in Brooklyn, New York. The American Jesuits was granted Philippine citizenship by the then President Ferdinand E. Marcos through Presidential Decree 740. So, in 1938, Father Willman served as a chaplain of the Knights of Columbus, Manila Council 1000. Meron tayong membro niyan, Brad, nasa Kabuong, ano? He's here.
Yung Grand Knight natin sa Kabuong.
Kabuong,
Si Brother Martin
Apura. So, then he returned in 1954 to become the Order's first Philippine deputy until his death in 1997. In all, Father Willman spent 44 years in the Philippines serving the poor, sick, the orphans, the oppressed, the desolate, and especially the young ones. So, Brad, alam na natin ang buhay ni Father Willman na talagang he dedicated his life in the Philippines, and then siya ang nag-umpisa na paglagay ng Knights of Columbus nag-umpisa sa Manila during yung World War I yung araw, you know. So the diocesan process that goes for Willman is opened with 9 a.m. Mass to be presented over by Cardinal Tagle in Manila Cathedral in Intramuros. Then other members of the clergy expected to grace the event in Cubao Bishop Honesto Ongchoco, Pasig Bishop Marlo Hubert Vergara, Imus Bishop Reynaldo Evangelista, and Monsignor, our very own Monsignor Pepe Quitorio. Yun ang mga events na nangyari dun sa Manila para po sa pagiging sainthood ni Father Willman. Now, ito ngayon ang tanong, Brad, ano? We're going back to our questions. Why is there a need to have a Knights of Columbus in every parish? Dinhiya, Pilipinas. So, we are given a mandate, ano, Brad, by the Supreme, na in every jurisdiction, we have to recruit. Recruitment is a must in order for us. It is not just numbers. You know, we have been iterating again and again that this is not about numbers. This is about evangelizing new members to join the ranks of the Knights of Columbus. Whenever we recruit new members, we strengthen our councils. So whatever councils recruits, the council is being strengthened. Brad, ikaw ang state membership director, and you are so concerned about the membership growth. Anong masasabi mo dito? Bakit kailangan ng every parish ng isang council?
Tama yan.
Naging district deputy ka, naging state officer ka. You've been very busy especially years back.
Salamat, Brad Alvin. Siguro, Brad, kung yung nabasa natin tungkol the history of Father McGivney na from Connecticut, USA, nakarating dito sa Pilipinas, at saka sinasabi dito sa atin yung Father McGivney ng Philippines is no other than Father George G. Willman. Ang ibig sabihin ito, mga Brother Knights, yung sinimulaan ni Father McGivney sa Amerika, kailangan masimulan natin sa Pilipinas sa pamamagitan ng pag-recruit ng new member to continue our evangelization program.
Correct.
Na dapat ang mga Pilipino, ang ginawa ni Father McGivney, magawa rin natin para ma-evangelize natin, lalo na yung ating mga youth, yung ating mga father, na at least na malapit sila sa Diyos, magawa nila, makatulong tayo sa ating kapwa.
Correct.
To help God, of course, our neighbor.
Correct.
Yun ang pinaka-essence kung bakit tayo narito at saka bakit ang Knights of Columbus dumarami lalo na dito sa Eastern at Western Visayas.
Sa jurisdiction
natin. In the sense that I have been appointed as the membership director, katungkulan ko yung Brad Alvin, lumaganap yung pag-evangelize natin in terms of membership growth. Nang
Yeah.
dumami tayo.
Correct.
Sa all over Visayas jurisdiction, yun ang naatasan para sa akin ano nagawin ko.
Correct.
At ginagawa natin in every diocese, archdiocese, yun ang role ko. Puntahan ko sila, i-advise natin na magkaroon tayo ng membership growth per
Recruitment in every parish. Now, Brad, ang ibig mo sabihin, once that we create or organize a council in a parish na wala pang council, that is recruitment.
Yeah.
Plain recruitment, so to speak. So when we open a new council in one parish, for example, na wala pang parish, siyempre, we have to ask the permission of the parish priest for his approval. Now, once that he approved of creating a council in his parish, then the least that could be recruited is 30 new brother knights. Malaki yun. Kasi in order for us to satisfy the requirements of a new council, at least may kita 30 new members. That is recruitment per se. So, napaka-importante yan because the Supreme Knight has given us a quota, a mandate na kinanglan we should complete this quota. Now, please don't get us wrong, brothers, and especially those who are watching, because yung numbers na hindi po yung numbers, those are evangelized new members. We have to evangelize members for them to become a good father, a good Christian, a good Catholic, and a good fellow man. Para malaman din nila na paano mamuhay bilang isang Katoliko, na mabuting Katoliko. Mind you, brother, who are watching today, I am very proud of Brad Vic, since he is the state deputy, meaning the state membership chairman last year. He's really working so hard that he has to travel to Occidental Negros Occidental, Negros Oriental, Iloilo, Antique, Aklan, Cebu. He's been around. And mind you, brother knights, nagkaroon po ng bunga. Karagsigon, naging maganda ho yung paglakbay niya sa mga iba-ibang lugar, because you know why? The Visayas jurisdiction was able to achieve 113% in membership growth. What does that mean? The Visayas jurisdiction was able to achieve a pinnacle award when it comes to membership growth. That is the highest award given into a jurisdiction under the leadership of our Visayas Deputy, Chofredo Lagria. Ito ang kanan kamay niya kung tutuusin. Dahil ito talaga ang nagtrabaho. Brad Vic really, whenever you give him a responsibility, he will make it a point that tatrabahuhin niya. He will make it a point na talagang anong binigay na trabaho sa ganyan, gagampanan niya. Yun, doon ako bilib dito sa taong ito eh.
Salamat, brother.
So, that's how it goes, why we need in every parish
Brad Alvin, tuloy ko lang sandali,
Sige lang, Brad.
Kung hindi ako nagkakamali, this coming February 2021, supposedly Brad Alvin and Doctora, of course, with me.
Yes.
We are supposed to leave for Bahamas.
Okay, good news, Brad.
Paano ito, Brad?
Kasi awardee ka. Okay, that's good news. I hope, Brad, that time wala na yung pandemic. Let's hope and pray na sana matuloy itong lakad niya, your journey to Bahamas, for you to receive your award.
Yeah.
Very good. That's good news, Brad.
An addition, Brad, for this Colombian year, binigyan ulit tayo ng more or less mga 50 NCD. This is throughout the Visayas.
NCD is the New Council Development. So, ibig sabihin po yun ng New Council Development, is new council in every parish or new council in barangays that minimisahan ito ang kapaliran na madaming parishioners which is qualified to have a new council in that area.
Well, again, for your information, this coming Saturday and Sunday, I, of course, with District Deputy Brad Ray Celio, and the Grand Knight of Lalawigan, Brad Fidelhammer, and the Grand Knight of Kabung, Brad Martin Dolpo, or Martin Apura.
Okay, who came from Council 1000.
Yeah, we will be leaving for Dipinobo Island.
Wow.
Dahil naka-schedule na sila na i-organize as a new council
In Divinobo.
in Dipinobo
That's
Island.
good
This
news,
coming
Brad.
Saturday.
Oh, so,
Saturday and Sunday.
Meron ng recruits.
Mayroon na kasi
very good.
kahapon when I was in Kabung, nag-usap-usap na kami natin sa yung mga beneficiary natin ng mga fishermen.
Okay.
Na they were the one who will responsible for listing the candidates to join the Knights of Columbus.
Very good.
Pagpunta namin doon, siguro isisit na lang natin, mayroon pang mga konting bagay na ayusin para ma-organize na yung
Very good.
Dipinobo.
That's good news,
Island.
Brad. That's good news. That's one way of evangelizing new
Actually,
members.
Brad, to present to you, I am here 12 new members of the Council of Kabung.
Okay. New members.
Bago ito.
12 na naman.
12 na naman.
Hindi yung nakaraan.
Maliban sa
bago na naman.
Bago na naman ito.
Very good.
Kaya
Maganda.
pinakikita ng Grand Knight natin sa Kabung si Brother Martin.
Yung bago.
Pura na galing sa Council 1000.
Yeah.
Na talagang tatrabaho siya.
Tatrabaho siya. Very good.
Yun ang gusto natin sa ating mga lalo sa mga Grand Knights, sa mga Council Officers na magtulungan tayo. Even though nga sa ngayong panahon under pandemic tayo, pero at least mayroon tayong ginagawa.
Yun ang isang medyo nakakalungkot. Meron tayong mga brother knights na whenever we tell them that they should recruit, ang laging alibay nila kasi pandemic, mahirap mag-recruit, mahirap mag-initiate, mahirap mag-exemplify because of the pandemic. Now, di ba Brad, meron ng pamaraanan, meron paraan para we could conduct exemplification. Okay, when we exemplify, there is a way to do it virtually.
Yeah.
Or, if we do exemplifications, we could do it 1 or 2 new members.
Okay.
Huwag yung marami. Kasi siyempre, hindi natin may iwasan pag marami, yung nagkakadikit-dikit, bawal po yon. We should have this social distancing.
The health protocol. Dapat natin yung health protocol.
Yung health protocols should always be there para hindi tayo questionin. Kahit nga kahapon, Brad, when we took our official photograph of the new members, of the new chosen officers in our council.
Saba, Medalya Milagros.
Yeah, Our Lady of Miraculous Medal. I instructed them na please distance yourself 1 meter each. Kaya makikita mo dun sa pinost ko sa Facebook na 1 meter talagang distance, and I was the only one that was not wearing mask. I forgot my mask. Kasi malapit lang ang bahay dun sa church. Anyway, everybody's wearing a mask. But now, meron po akong dalang mask. So, to cut it short, we have always to observe health protocols when we conduct first-degree exemplification. Hindi po mahirap, brothers, Huwag po nating gawing dahilan yung pandemic. Meron po tayong dahilan. If there's a way, there's a will. Kasi meron tayong isang DMPC, wag na natin banggitin kung sino siya, medyo nakakainis. Kung lang, sabihin natin nakakainis. Kasi, why do other DMPCs, other brother knights, could perform and undertake exemplification?
Bakit
siya hindi? O wala siyang ginagawa? Yun ang medyo nakakalungkot doon, Because, once you were appointed as the Diocesan Membership and Program Coordinator, ikaw ang gagawa ng diskarte. Since you were given the mandate to perform your duties, maraming paraan. Our State Deputy Fred Lagria has explained to you ways of exemplification. Marami siyang in-example.
Several times nang sinabi niya.
Sinabi niya, maraming beses na niyang sinabi na you could do it on a virtual video clips, or you could exemplify face-to-face, kaya lang isa o dalawang new recruit, pero you had to keep your distance. You could do the usual ceremonials. You could do that. There's no problem about it. And then, magdisidistansya lang kayo. Kahit sa bahay lang, pwede na Pwede nang gawin yan. Kaya lang isa o dalawa lang. So much for that.
Of course, Brother Alvin, I'm reminding our Grand Knight, kung yung nakikinig na sa atin ngayon, na namamating ang mga Grand Knights at mga Council Officers, labi na di dahil District B103.
Yes.
Sugad man ang gawasan di District B102 o 4 nga itong first quarter itong Colombian year 2021 supposedly ma-in niya ang September 30. So kung mahihimo mga brother nights, magharap kita kung ano ang iginhatag ka inyong mga quota na apila ka iyo try to meet this quota before the end in nga first quarter itong Colombian year 20 and 21. So
Okay.
that's it, brother, no?
Okay, very good, Brad. We want to tell a thanks to the efforts of Blessed Father Michael McGivney, Assistant Pastor of St. Mary's Church in New Haven, Connecticut, and some of his parishioners. The Connecticut State Legislature on March 29, 1882 officially chartered the Knights of Columbus as a fraternal benefit society. The order is still true to its founding principles of charity, unity, and fraternity. So the Knights was formed to render financial aid to members and their families, mutual aid and assistance to the sick, disabled, and needy persons and their family, through educational, charitable, religious, social welfare, war relief, public relief works. So I was really happy, Brad, when you had a meeting with the assembly that you were talking about beneficial aid, ano? Maganda yun na yun. Kaya itinayo ni Father McGivney is because of this. We want to have bring financial assistance to the members and families, especially the breadwinner na who died. Kasi pag namatay ang tatay, kawawa naman yung pamilya.
Lalo na yung wife kasi siyang magsasabi, siyang may iwan sa mga bata.
Correct. Because Father McGivney has experienced it firsthand nung namatay yung tatay niya.
Sa pamilya niya mismo.
Sa pamilya niya mismo. Kahit tumigil ng pag-aaral ng seminarista, pagiging seminaryo, kaya nung namatay yung tatay, kaya alam na niya ang gagawin.
Pumasok siya sa factory para magmerong income.
Nagtrabaho sa factory, gumagawa ng mga kutsara.
Ma-augment ang income ng father niya nang mawala yung tatay niya.
Kasi gugutumin naman talagang mga kapatid niya na
lalo maliliit pa sila. Kaya yun ginawa ni Father McGivney.
And by the way, Brad, Vic, I just want to take this opportunity na yung sinabi ko sa iyo kanina na meron I was able to recruit a young Knights of Columbus member who's going to join us. He's going to join us in our hosting in this program. His name is Brother Diosdado. I forgot his family name. Diosdado Buna.
From
Sabang North. From Sabang North. He is a civil engineering student in ISU, and he was really willing and interested to join us. Sabi ko nga sa kanya, I'm really happy that he accepted the challenge. So perhaps he might be joining us next Sundays to come, perhaps on October na. Kasi he has to review din yung mga pag-uusapan natin dito.
Maganda yan, Brad, para ma-orient natin siya.
Orient natin siya. And sabi ko sa kanya, Brad, kung meron ka pang makuhang kasama mo na kasing edad mo, na pwede nating isama, meron daw siyang maisasama, Brad. So that was good news. He belongs to the same council where I'm from. We belong to the same and Our Lady of Miraculous Medal in Sabang South. So kasama ko siya ron, and I was happy that yesterday when I was trying to convince him to join us in this panel, natuwa ako dahil inaccept niya yung challenge na yun. And kasi yung mga bata ngayon medyo iba ang takbo ng mga isip ng mga yan. They're aggressive, they're the different way of thinking, they're the different way of approach compared sa atin na medyo may edad na. And I hope and pray na Brother Diosdado will be here with us next month. Patuloy sana. So, do you have any announcement for to make, bro? Or sa tungkol sa mga sa recruitment sa mga iba-ibang lugar.
Actually,
yung mga DMPC, tawagan mo yung attention nila, Brad.
Actually, nandun ko kahapon, talaga parang i-remind ko sa mga DMPCs natin throughout the Visayas, na at least gawin natin yung yung nakaatang sa atin na responsibility. No? Sabi ba nga ni Brad Fred, Senator Brad Fred, dapat paagi para magkamay na kita matrabaho in terms of recruitment.
Yes.
Di rin man kita, yan ang panahon ginatuyangan para hindi tinatawag na face-to-face nga pumaagi, pero through virtual, tawagan natin atong mga district deputy, itong mga district deputy liwat, tawagan ito na mga grand night ng council officers nga, punta buhatan liwat parehas ini. Nga siling pa, ato niya pamaagi, may na kita kinabago, may na kita pwede kita mag-exemplify through video CD, CD.
Yes.
Pwede kita.
With the help of a video player.
Player, madali lang. Pero ang pasiso, gyapon. May gyapon kita spiritual formation, buhatan natin, nga ada ang pamaagyan pag-simplify natin din itong normal sitwasyon. So, mga Brother Knights, itakong kalman sa nga iyo, please, buhaton ta, Marap mo kita nga kapag kaya na dako na problema at tinakatubang ta. Pero may kita mga pamaagi. Dapat ito pamaagi nga aton dapat pagbuhaton ta para na inimadayon, lalo na yung aton evangelization in terms of aton recruitment at mga bagong mga candidates. Brother.
I just want to reiterate, Brad, remember the SDA, State the Jews Assessment. It has been suspended. Okay, we just want to reiterate. Karuig na namin pasamuak na it aton 600 per year nga SDA has been suspended by our Supreme Knight. So we don't have to pay ini nga 600 for now because of the pandemic. Maaram man hira dito Amerika na medyo nakukuryang kita dito yung Pilipinas because of this COVID-19 virus wherein makuri talaga nga makatiro sugod na kwarta.
In terms sa Supreme, dakalimutan nila ang sakripisyo.
Totoo.
Kinanglanan niya ang support na itong Supreme. Kaya dapat ginagastuhan itong Supreme Office, labi na yan ang panahon. Labi na panatag yung tinatawag natin ang programa nga, leave no brothers behind.
Or leave no neighbors behind.
Kinakadako yun nga, kinanglanan natin yung pundo na kaya na. Pero ang rason nga tanan makita apektado, so temporarily suspend ini ang
State Jews Assessment. Supreme Jews Assessment.
Okay. Pero
600 flat.
Pero I believe siguro kung maliliptid na ini ang aton niya na pandemic, siguro mabalik na ito.
However, Brad Vic, please don't forget our Visayas Jews Assessment. Importante
naman ito.
Please, Brother Knights, especially council levels, please pay your Visayas Jews Assessment. Alam po namin na medyo mahirap ang pera ngayon, pero try your best to collect ka. Mura lang naman yan per month. 30 pesos per month. So, please try your best to collect 30 pesos from Brother Knights in your council. Financial Secretary, that is your obligation and your responsibility to collect 30 pesos to each members in your council. Please do so dahil kailangan po natin din ng jurisdiction ng panggastos. Meron ho mga tayong binabayaran, lalo na sa Cebu, nagre-renta po tayo doon ng opisina natin, and yung suhol, yung sweldo ng mga staff natin doon, tayo ho nagbabayad doon. Lights, tubig, everything.
So,
telepono, wifi.
So mga Brother Knights, during your council meeting, kindly disseminate in the information in terms of pagbabayad at ating monthly dues.
Correct.
Tanan, all over itong Visayas, mga council, kindly magbayad na kamot iyo, monthly dues, anyway. May na mga council nga era, binabayaran siguro minimal la. May na siguro mga 20 lang siguro. May na 25, may na naman 30. So, nadependihan kinisarabutan ng council kung pipiraan nila magiging monthly dues.
Okay, Brad. So, I think mabilis ang oras natin. Matatapos na naman itong show natin. However, before we leave, anything about saying your goodbyes or whatever, bilin mo aton mga Brother Knights?
Mga Brother Knights, all over Visayas. Sabi ko pa kanina, Western, Central, and Eastern Visayas. Mga EDMPC, mga DMPC, mga district deputies nga nakikitahin ng atong programa, ang atong mga Brother Knights o Grand Knights, mga council officers, ang sugar man ang atong mga may plano pag-join ito Knights of Columbus, ini nga kung haiyo mga kabugtuan nga karuyag di makiusa amon. Simple la ani yung bubuhaton ano. Do kala kamo nga dahiton council ano, labi na katon grand night o kaya katon mga district deputy nga hikamo willing mag-join iton Knights of Columbus. Tatagan la kamuhin forma pagpipila pa niyo tapos exist kamo nga dahin exemplification date. So simple la ito ano nga iubuhatan. Nga di dahil yung mga brother knights ano mga kandidato pag-join Knights of Columbus. Doon wala ang pinaka-important natin nga ginahangyo iyo na pag-simba ka mo, sumimba ka mo, maging real Catholic kita, hindi rin hangaran, kundi habuhat.
Yes.
At least, liwat, ma-attinder kita ito ng tanong ng mga meetings itong council. Kaya pinaaghin ni, may babar ka mo hinlos ay kung ano kung talaga it Knights of Columbus it iya mga buruhat.
Thank you very much, Brad Vic. Well said, ano? So, mga Brother Knights, next week when we come back, we will be discussing about the degrees in the Knights of Columbus. What are these degrees in the Knights of Columbus? And then I'm going to leave you a question. What is the highest degree in the Knights of Columbus? Malalaman po niyan pagbalik namin. Okay? So, let us pray for God's mercy and compassion. Let us pray for one another so that peace, love, and kindness will reign in our hearts. Let us pray for our Bishop Crispin Barquez, for our Pope Francis, for Monsignor Pepe Quitorio, for our brother State Deputy Chofrido Lagria, that God will always guide them. Brother Knights, please observe health protocol, wear your face masks, have your social discipline, social distancing, discipline yourself in social distancing to protect others and to protect yourselves. Please, let's stop this virus so that we could go back in our own normal lives.
Be a model knights.
Be a model knight. Maganda yan, Brad. Be a model knight. So, this is your brother, Alvin Gonzalez, your State Communication Director, saying, Vivat Jesus! See you next week. Take care, brothers.
With the truth that truly sets us free, with the love